The phrase as above, so below has fascinated and inspired people across centuries and cultures. It's a short sentence, but it carries a big idea that the spiritual world and the physical world are not separate, but deeply connected. What happens in the heavens is reflected on earth. What goes on in our inner world, the world of thoughts, emotions, and spirit, can shape our outer reality. And what we experience in life can reflect deeper, unseen truths. This saying is like a doorway into a much larger understanding of life, one that blends science, philosophy, spirituality, and personal growth into a single thread of wisdom. The idea behind this phrase isn't just a modern invention, it has roots that stretch back thousands of years. Its most well-known origin is found in a mysterious piece of writing called the Emerald Tablet, an ancient Egyptian text linked to a figure named Hermes Trismegistus. Hermes is a mythical blend of two powerful gods, the Greek god Hermes, known for communication and knowledge, and the Egyptian god Thoth, associated with writing, wisdom, and magic. Together, these figures represent the human desire to understand both the physical and spiritual aspects of existence. The Emerald Tablet is written in poetic, symbolic language, and one of its most famous lines is, "That which is above is like that which is below, and that which is below is like that which is above." This idea became central to a spiritual philosophy known as Hermeticism. Hermetic teachings suggest that the universe is alive with divine intelligence and that by studying the laws of nature, we can understand the laws of spirit. In other words, by observing the world around us, stars, plants, people, patterns, we can discover truths about the divine. The physical world is not a distraction from the spiritual, but a reflection of it. According to Hermetic thought, everything is connected because everything comes from the same divine source. During the time when Hermetic ideas were taking shape, people didn't separate science, spirituality, and philosophy the way we often do today. Back then, seeking knowledge of the stars' astronomy, studying how substances change alchemy, and exploring the soul were all part of one big search for truth. The phrase, as above, so below, guided this search. It meant that if you wanted to understand the divine, you didn't have to look beyond the world. You could find it mirrored in nature, in your own body, and even in your thoughts and dreams. Alchemy, in particular, embraced this concept fully. Alchemists are often remembered as people trying to turn lead into gold. But the deeper purpose of alchemy was always spiritual. Turning lead into gold was a symbol for turning the base parts of ourselves, like greed, fear, or ignorance, into something pure and enlightened. Alchemists believed that just as metals could be transformed through fire and careful processes, so too could the human soul be purifying through study, discipline, and devotion. As above, so below explained how inner transformation could lead to real changes in the outer world and vice versa. As centuries passed, the phrase continued to evolve and find new meaning. In medieval Europe, Christian mystics found in it a way to express the idea that God's presence could be seen in every part of creation. The heavens and the earth were not separate. They were part of a single divine plan. Nature itself was seen as a kind of holy book, something to be studied and honored, not just used. For these mystics, spiritual growth came from observing the world closely and recognizing the divine order within it. Then came the Renaissance, a time of rebirth in science, art, and learning. Thinkers of that era believed that humanity could reach great heights of wisdom by studying both the natural world and ancient texts. They saw human beings as a microcosm, a little version of the entire universe. This meant that if you understood the human body, the mind, or the soul, you could also understand the greater workings of the cosmos. The phrase, as above, so below, fit perfectly with this vision. It reminded people that truth wasn't hidden in a faraway heaven. It was here, now, all around us, waiting to be discovered. In the modern era, this idea took on new forms. In the early 20th century, Carl Jung, one of the founders of modern psychology, found deep meaning in this ancient phrase. He believed that our conscious minds are only a small part of who we are. Beneath our waking thoughts lies the unconscious mind, full of symbols, dreams, fears, and desires. Jung saw this inner world as a mirror of the outer world. By exploring our dreams, emotions, and hidden motivations, we can begin to understand not only ourselves but the larger truths of life. For Jung, as above, so below describe the way our inner psyche reflects and shapes our external experiences. Today, the phrase continues to inspire people in many different spiritual and metaphysical communities. It's often used as a reminder that we are not separate from the universe, we are part of it. The energy we carry inside us can affect the world around us, and the energy of the universe flows through us, shaping our experiences and choices. People who practice meditation, mindfulness, energy healing, or spiritual rituals often use this phrase to stay connected to the idea that there is a deeper reality behind what we can see and touch. But this isn't just a mystical belief, it's also a call to action. If the world is a reflection of our inner state, then we have a responsibility to cultivate peace, love, and clarity within ourselves. Our thoughts, emotions, and intentions don't just stay inside, they ripple outward and influence the people and situations around us. Likewise, when we are surrounded by beauty, kindness, and harmony, it can lift our spirits and awaken the best in us. This cycle of influence goes both ways, and it's part of what makes life so interconnected. The beauty of as above, so below lies in its simplicity and its depth. It encourages us to look at life differently, not as a series of disconnected events, but as a web of relationships. When we start seeing patterns between our dreams and our actions, between the moon and our moods, between the seasons and our energy levels, we begin to understand that life is full of meaning. Nothing is random. Everything is part of a greater whole. This saying also invites humility. It reminds us that we don't know everything, and that's okay. The universe is vast, mysterious, and full of wonder. But at the same time, it tells us that we are not powerless. By tuning into the deeper rhythms of life, we can find our place in the cosmos and learn how to live in a way that is wise, loving, and in harmony with all that exists. For some, this might mean prayer or devotion to a higher power. For others, it might mean spending time in nature, creating art, or helping others. Whatever form it takes, the essence is the same. Recognizing that what is within us is also reflected outside of us, and what is outside of us shapes what we carry inside. This is the heart of as above, so below. In a world that often feels chaotic and uncertain, this phrase offers a sense of purpose and unity. It encourages us to see ourselves not as isolated individuals, but as active participants in a beautiful, intelligent universe. When we align ourselves with the greater patterns of life, with compassion, balance, wisdom, and curiosity, we begin to live not just more peacefully, but more meaningfully. People across many spiritual and religious traditions believe that there is a higher realm of existence, a place or state beyond the physical world, where everything is in perfect balance. This realm is often described as one of peace, unity, and light. It is said that the more we align ourselves with the principles and energies of this spiritual realm, the more we can live with harmony, clarity, and purpose in our everyday lives. This idea, known in spiritual teachings as above, so below, expresses the deep connection between the spiritual world and the material one, between the divine and the human, the cosmic and the personal. In religious traditions, this higher realm is often portrayed as a place of divine order. In Christianity, for instance, the kingdom of God is imagined as a realm of ultimate peace and spiritual perfection, where the soul lives in perfect union with God. Similarly, in Hinduism, the concept of Brahman represents the eternal and unchanging reality that lies behind all things. It is the source from which all creation comes and to which it eventually returns. These traditions describe the spiritual realm not just as a distant heaven, but as a present and living reality, one that can be experienced when we tune our hearts and minds to it. But the spiritual realm isn't only part of formal religion. It also has a powerful influence on our personal growth, especially when we seek meaning and transformation in life. The idea of as above can be understood as a call to look deeper into our inner world, to go beyond what we see and touch, and explore the mysteries within us. In modern psychology, this journey inward is similar to exploring the unconscious mind, the part of us that holds our dreams, instincts, memories, and the deeper forces that shape how we think, feel, and act. Famous psychologist Carl Jung believed that within the unconscious mind lies a vast reservoir of wisdom and potential. He said that by becoming aware of the symbols, patterns, and archetypes that live within us, we can grow into our full selves. Jung spoke of the self, a powerful inner archetype that represents the wholeness and unity of a person. This self serves as a bridge between the conscious mind and the unconscious, and even between the material and spiritual realms. Just as above speaks to divine unity, Jung's self speaks to the harmony of all parts of our inner world. In mystical and esoteric traditions, as above also speaks to our ability to rise to a higher state of being. These teachings suggest that human beings are not just bodies moving through space, but souls on a spiritual journey. We each carry a spark of the divine within us, a piece of the greater cosmic intelligence. This divine essence connects us to the universe, and it calls us to live in alignment with higher principles such as love, wisdom, truth, and compassion. When we live this way, when we live with intention and spiritual awareness, we begin to experience a kind of awakening, often called enlightenment or spiritual illumination. This process of spiritual growth is not about escaping the world, but about transforming ourselves so we can live more fully in it. The more we connect with higher truths, the more our thoughts, emotions, and actions begin to reflect those truths. We become more loving, more aware, and more in tune with the deeper rhythms of life. Many modern spiritual teachings talk about the power of intention, about how our thoughts can shape our reality. This idea is seen in popular concepts like the law of attraction, which says that when we focus on positive intentions, we draw similar experiences into our lives. The phrase as above captures this beautifully. It suggests that there is a higher realm of consciousness, a space of pure thought, energy, and purpose, and that this realm can influence our world. By aligning our inner lives with this higher spiritual energy, we can begin to shape our outer reality in powerful ways. This is the heart of manifestation. The idea that by tuning into spiritual truths and holding a clear vision, we can bring positive change into our lives and the world. But the phrase doesn't end there. The full teaching is as above, so below. And while as above refers to the spiritual realm, so below speaks to the physical, material world, the world we experience every day. It reminds us that the material and spiritual are not separate. Instead, they are reflections of each other. The visible and invisible are two sides of the same coin. The trees, the rivers, our bodies, our emotions, everything in the physical world carries the imprint of spiritual truth. This is a profound idea. It means that the physical world is not just random or empty. It is full of meaning. Every part of nature, every experience we have is shaped by deeper, invisible forces. This belief is echoed in the ancient idea of the microcosm and the macrocosm. The microcosm is the small world, the individual person. The macrocosm is the great world, the universe. Many mystical traditions teach that the microcosm reflects the macrocosm. In other words, each of us is a miniature version of the entire cosmos. This idea helps us understand that what happens within us mirrors what happens in the wider universe. And the same is true in reverse. The way the universe is structured gives us clues about our own inner world. The patterns we see in nature, growth, decay, cycles, seasons are the same patterns that shape our lives. Just as a tree grows, bears fruit, loses its leaves, and grows again, so too do we go through stages of learning, achievement, loss, and renewal. The more we understand these patterns, the more we can live in harmony with them. When we begin to see the world this way, we realize that our actions, even the smallest ones, are deeply connected to something greater. In Hermetic philosophy, it is said that every action in the material world reflects a spiritual force. So when we live with awareness, when we act with kindness, tell the truth, or create beauty, we are not just affecting our immediate surroundings. We are aligning with universal laws and helping to create harmony in both the physical and spiritual realms. This connection also shows up in the way we treat our bodies. Many spiritual traditions teach that the human body is sacred, that it is a temple for the soul and a reflection of the greater universe. In alchemy, for example, the process of transformation wasn't just about turning lead into gold. It was also about purifying the self, refining the body, emotions, and spirit so that they could reflect divine truth. When we care for our bodies, nourish our minds, and live with purpose, we become vessels through which spiritual energy can flow more freely. So below also reminds us of the importance of relationships and community. How we interact with others, how we treat nature, how we respond to injustice, all of these reflect our spiritual understanding. Society as a whole can reflect higher or lower states of consciousness. When we work together for peace, justice, and healing, we bring spiritual truth into physical form. Our actions become expressions of a deeper wisdom that exists above us, but also within us. This understanding can lead us to live more mindfully and purposefully. When we recognize that everything is connected, that every thought and action echoes across both realms, we become more intentional. We start to listen more closely to our inner voice. We pay more attention to the natural world. We seek out experiences that uplift and awaken us. And we begin to understand that our lives are not isolated, but woven into the vast and beautiful tapestry of the cosmos. The principle of as above, so below ultimately invites us to live in a way that honors both the spiritual and the material. It tells us that we don't have to choose between the two. We can walk in both worlds at once. We can be fully present in our daily lives while staying connected to higher truths. In doing so, we become bridges, channels through which divine energy can move into the world. In this light, everything we do becomes sacred. Eating a meal, having a conversation, creating art, even facing hardship, each of these becomes an opportunity to live in alignment with the greater order of the universe. By seeing the divine in the ordinary, we open ourselves to a deeper kind of life, one filled with meaning, wonder, and connection. This way of seeing doesn't require any particular religion or belief system. It is open to anyone who is willing to look beneath the surface of things and ask deeper questions. It invites us to slow down, to observe the patterns of life, to trust the wisdom of the heart. And it offers a profound message of hope, that no matter where we are or what we face, we are never separate from the divine. The same intelligence that moves the stars also lives within us. The same love that created the universe is available to guide and support us. By living with this awareness, by honoring both the above and the below, we begin to live a more balanced, awakened, and meaningful life. We discover that the spiritual realm is not far away, but present in every breath, every heartbeat, every moment of connection. And as we align more closely with these higher principles, our lives begin to reflect them, just as the earth reflects the sky. When we look at the world not just as a collection of separate things, but as one big interconnected system influenced by higher spiritual laws, something inside us begins to shift. We start seeing life through a new lens, one that brings more respect, compassion, and responsibility into our hearts. This shift helps us live in a way that contributes to a more peaceful and balanced world. When we live in harmony with these universal truths, we're not just helping ourselves, we're making the world a better place, one action at a time. The physical world around us isn't just random or purely scientific. There's a deeper message hidden in the shapes, movements, and patterns of nature. Take sacred geometry, for example. This refers to patterns and shapes that show up again and again in nature, like the spiral of a seashell, the way sunflowers grow, or how snowflakes form. These patterns are not accidental. They are signs of a greater order at work, a kind of blueprint from something higher. It's as if nature itself is whispering ancient spiritual truths to us through its design. When we pay close attention to these natural patterns, we begin to notice something amazing. The world around us mirrors what exists in the spiritual or unseen realm. This is the essence of the saying, as above, so below. It means that whatever exists in the higher, spiritual dimensions is reflected in our physical reality and vice versa. This idea invites us to see the world not as two separate places, one physical, one spiritual, but as two sides of the same coin. The phrase as above refers to the spiritual, the infinite, the universal laws and energies that shape everything. So below is our everyday world where we live, act, and make choices. When we understand that the two are connected, we begin to live with more purpose. We realize that what we do here and now matters on a much bigger scale. We are not small or unimportant. We are participants in a cosmic dance. With this awareness comes a deeper sense of responsibility. If the physical world is an extension of the spiritual, then how we treat it and each other has meaning. Our actions are not isolated. Everything we do creates ripples, affecting not just our personal lives, but the lives of others and even the environment. We're like artists painting on the canvas of the world, and every brushstroke matters. Whether it's showing kindness to a stranger, caring for nature, or simply living with honesty, each choice brings more harmony into the world. Living with this awareness also helps us reconnect with the natural world. When we recognize nature as sacred, as part of the divine, we begin to treat it with more care and appreciation. We no longer see the earth as something to use up, but as something to live in harmony with. We begin to notice the quiet wisdom in trees, the gentle rhythm of seasons, and the mystery of life itself. This creates a life filled with gratitude and mindfulness. The idea of as above, so below is really about connection. It tells us that everything in the universe is linked together. What happens on a grand cosmic level is reflected in our own personal experiences. This teaches us that our inner world and the outer world are not separate. When we understand this, we start to look at life in a more holistic way. We begin to see that everything, our thoughts, emotions, relationships, and even the natural world, are all part of a bigger spiritual system. Nature reflects this truth beautifully. In many spiritual traditions, nature is seen as a mirror of the divine. Think about the changing seasons. Spring brings new life, summer offers growth, autumn leads to decline, and winter gives us rest. These cycles are not just about weather, they symbolize deeper spiritual truths. Our lives go through similar seasons. We have moments of new beginnings, periods of growth, times of letting go, and moments of stillness and reflection. These cycles are part of being human, and they follow the same rhythm as the universe. By paying attention to these natural rhythms, we can learn how to move through life more smoothly. Instead of fighting change, we learn to flow with it. When we're growing, we embrace it. When it's time to let go, we release what no longer serves us. When we're resting, we allow ourselves to be still. In doing so, we live more in tune with the universe, and life begins to feel more meaningful and aligned. Balance is another important part of this understanding. The universe isn't random or chaotic, it operates through balance and harmony. Look at ecosystems. Every animal, plant, and element plays a role. The planets follow precise movements. Everything is connected and everything matters. Spiritually, balance means accepting both light and dark parts of ourselves. It means living in a way that respects both our physical needs and our spiritual values. In practical terms, this balance helps us live better lives. It reminds us that material success is not enough. We also need inner peace. We can enjoy life's pleasures, but we should also make time for reflection, compassion, and growth. A balanced life is one where we take care of our bodies, our minds, and our souls. When we live this way, we begin to reflect the divine order of the universe. One of the key spiritual principles that relates to as above, so below is the law of correspondence. This law says that there are hidden connections between all things. What happens in one part of the universe is connected to what happens in another. It's like a spiritual echo or reflection. The famous phrase, "what is above is like what is below," invites us to search for these connections. For example, the way stars move in the sky may reflect our inner emotional or spiritual states. The patterns in nature, how rivers flow, how trees grow, can teach us about our own inner lives. When we take time to observe and understand these patterns, we gain wisdom. We begin to see that the answers we seek are not just out there in the world, but also within ourselves. This brings us to one of the most powerful messages of this principle. Transformation begins within. If the universe is reflected in us, then understanding ourselves helps us understand the world. Our minds, hearts, and bodies are like small versions of the cosmos. Every thought, every emotion, every action is a part of that bigger pattern. That's why so many spiritual teachings focus on self-awareness and self-mastery. The more we understand ourselves, the more we can align with the universe. In ancient alchemy, the transformation of lead into gold was a symbol of this inner journey. Alchemists weren't just trying to change metals. They were exploring how to purify and transform the soul. The real goal was spiritual enlightenment. Turning lead into gold was a metaphor for turning ignorance into wisdom, fear into love, and confusion into clarity. This process is slow, and it requires dedication, but it's also incredibly rewarding. It's the path of becoming who we truly are. This idea is still very relevant today. We all face challenges, doubts, and moments when we feel lost. But through those experiences, we grow. Each difficulty is like fire that shapes us, like the pressure that forms a diamond. By staying committed to our spiritual journey, we transform ourselves. And in doing so, we help transform the world around us. Understanding as above, so below also invites us to look at life as a whole. It encourages a holistic perspective, one where we see how everything is connected, from the tiniest atom to the vast galaxies. This perspective changes how we live. We start to act with more intention, knowing that our choices have real impact. We become more aware of how we treat others, how we treat the earth, and how we care for ourselves. When we truly live by this principle, we begin to see the divine in everyday life. We notice beauty in small things: a smile, a tree, a sunset, a kind word. We realize that the sacred isn't far away, it's right here, all around us. The spiritual is not separate from the physical. In fact, the material world is a way the divine expresses itself. This realization helps us live with more reverence, patience, and joy. By embracing the principle of as above, so below, we start to live in alignment with the universe. We stop fighting against life and instead begin to flow with its rhythms. We become co-creators in a greater story, one where our lives have meaning and our actions have purpose. We become more present, more loving, and more connected. Life is a journey full of experiences, relationships, and challenges. Every one of these moments offers us a chance to grow, to reflect, and to align ourselves with deeper truths rooted in harmony, balance, and love. Instead of seeing life as a random series of events, we can begin to see it as a meaningful whole, where everything has a purpose and every moment is part of something greater. When we look at life this way, we start to understand our true role in the universe. We realize that we're not just individuals trying to survive, we're active participants in a much larger, more beautiful creation. There's a timeless idea that captures this connection between us and the universe: as above, so below. At first, it might sound mysterious or poetic, but it holds a powerful truth. It means that the patterns and principles that govern the universe, the stars, the galaxies, the invisible spiritual realm, are the same ones that shape our own lives. The small reflects the large, and the inner reflects the outer. What happens within us is mirrored in the world around us. This idea invites us to look at life not as separate pieces, but as a web where everything is connected. This principle isn't just for mystics or philosophers. It has real meaning for our everyday lives. It tells us that we don't have to look far to find wisdom. The same forces that move the stars also move us. The same cycles that shape the seasons shape our personal growth. This view gives us a deeper appreciation of life and helps us make sense of both the joy and the suffering we experience. It reminds us that even our challenges are not random, they're part of a bigger picture. Change is a big part of that picture. Everything is always shifting and transforming. The universe is in constant motion, and so are we. Our lives are like rivers, always flowing, never still. Sometimes that flow brings happiness and ease, and other times it brings obstacles. We often resist change because it feels scary or uncertain. We might hold on to a job that no longer fulfills us, or a relationship that drains us simply because it feels safer than the unknown. But when we understand the deeper truth of as above, so below, we begin to see that change is not something to be feared. It's a natural part of life's rhythm. Like trees shedding their leaves in the fall, we too must let go of what no longer serves us so that new growth can take place. Our inner world plays a huge role in this process. The thoughts we think, the emotions we carry, and the beliefs we hold, all of these shape our experience of the outer world. If we constantly dwell in fear, anger, or doubt, these emotions tend to color everything we see. We may find ourselves stuck in negative patterns, facing the same problems again and again. On the other hand, when we practice peace, kindness, and love within ourselves, these qualities begin to show up in our outer reality too. We start to experience better relationships, more meaningful work, and a deeper sense of happiness. The idea is simple but profound. When we shift our inner world, the outer world shifts with it. This brings us to another important truth: what we put into the world, we get back. This is known as the law of cause and effect. Every action, every word, every thought sends out energy that comes back to us in some form. It's like tossing a stone into a pond. The ripples always return. If we act with love and integrity, those ripples bring harmony into our lives. But if we act out of anger or selfishness, the results will reflect that energy. This isn't about judgment or punishment, it's about understanding the natural flow of energy. When we live with awareness, we can choose to send out energy that helps rather than harms. Taking responsibility for that energy is empowering. Instead of blaming others or waiting for life to change, we realize that we have the power to create change ourselves. We are not just watching life happen, we are shaping it with every decision we make. That doesn't mean we can control everything. Bad things can still happen. But even when we face difficult situations, we can choose how we respond. We can choose to learn, to grow, and to stay true to our values. This sense of responsibility helps us take ownership of our lives and move toward greater fulfillment. Many times, the challenges we face are actually reflections of what we need to learn or heal. Life has a way of showing us our own inner blocks through external situations. For example, if we keep finding ourselves in relationships where we feel unworthy or unappreciated, it might be pointing to a deeper belief within ourselves that we are not enough. These patterns are like mirrors, showing us where we need to do the inner work. When we become curious about these patterns instead of feeling victimized by them, we can begin to transform them. Every difficulty, every conflict is an invitation to go deeper, to understand ourselves better, and to grow. Nature can be one of our greatest teachers in this process. As above, so below reminds us that nature reflects the divine order of the universe. The more we observe nature, the more we understand ourselves. The cycles of the moon, the changing seasons, the blooming and withering of flowers, all of these are not just pretty sights. They carry deep spiritual truths. For example, spring reminds us of renewal and fresh beginnings. Autumn teaches us about release and letting go. A river flowing smoothly around rocks teaches us flexibility and resilience. When we live in tune with these natural rhythms, we feel more grounded and balanced. Just as the outer world has rhythms, our inner world has energy patterns too. Everything vibrates: our thoughts, emotions, words, even our bodies. This is the law of vibration. Lower vibrations, like fear and hatred, create disconnection and suffering. Higher vibrations, like love and compassion, bring healing and unity. The more we focus on raising our vibration through positive thinking, gratitude, and intentional living, the more in tune we become with the universe's natural flow. Think of it like tuning an instrument. When we're in harmony, life plays a beautiful melody. When we're out of tune, everything feels off. Living by the principle of as above, so below means becoming more conscious of our energy and how we show up in the world. It means realizing that nothing is separate. Our actions have an effect. Our thoughts have power. Even our smallest choices matter. Whether it's how we speak to a friend, how we care for our body, or how we treat the earth, all of it contributes to the energy we send into the world. And in return, that energy shapes the kind of life we experience. This way of living calls us to be more mindful, more compassionate, and more present. It asks us to slow down, to reflect, and to ask deeper questions. What am I putting into the world? How are my thoughts affecting my reality? What lessons am I being asked to learn right now? These questions help us live with more depth and clarity. They help us see beyond surface-level struggles and connect to the greater purpose behind our experiences. Ultimately, the journey of living in alignment with these truths leads us to a richer and more meaningful life. We begin to see ourselves not just as individuals, but as sacred beings who are deeply connected to the divine flow of the universe. We begin to live with purpose, not just chasing success or comfort, but seeking truth, wisdom, and connection. We learn to let go when it's time, to grow when we're called to, and to love even when it's hard. The principle of as above, So Below is not just a spiritual idea, it's a way of life. It reminds us that everything matters, that we are creators, not victims, that we are part of something vast and beautiful, and that the more we align with love, balance, and higher truths, the more we become a reflection of the divine order itself. Through this understanding, we don't just change our own lives, we also become a source of light for others. We create ripples of peace, compassion, and healing that reach far beyond what we can see. And in doing so, we fulfill our true potential to be co creators of a more harmonious, loving, and conscious world.